Good evening and happy Mother's Day. It is the 5:30. It is the 9th day of April 2021. And I am your grumpy guy to all things gaming. It's a Sunday night, just taking it easy right now. But this showed up in the mail yesterday. If you remember, previously we looked at the beginner's box set of the Alien role-playing game from Free League. And we had some questions, not really about the rules or anything like that, more about the art. Now, I don't know if you remember the original Aliens role-playing game, but one of the things that they had in the original Aliens role-playing game was a lot of unseen footage, pictures from the movies that were around by then. And some artist rendition of other stuff that Geiger and the people who were doing Alien and Aliens came up with, but that we never saw in the movie. So I did have some questions if this was going to feature some of the unseen art, some of the unseen pictures from the movie, stuff that made it on the editing floor. One of the things that they talked about in the original game and showed pictures of was both some shots and some artist renditions of what the aliens ate. And there was some more stuff on the colonial marines that was planned and speculated, but never saw print. So one of my questions was, is that going to be in here? But and there's not a lot of art in here, which I do like. All the art is drawings and paintings. So I don't know why they didn't use anything from that might be from the movie. I'm not sure. No, I think that looks like it's from the movie. I don't know why they didn't use anything from the movie. I mean, the art is... what art there is pretty good. I mean, can you tell that's a painting and not like a scene? That's pretty damn good. I mean, the art is good. Now, here's another one. I mean, that looks like it's right from a movie and not a painting. That new book smell. But yeah, that's a painting. There's almost nothing from the movies or the books or the stuff we never saw. In here, that looks like it's from Blade Runner, and I don't know why. Maybe it's something to do with the rights. I vaguely remember some hoobaloo going on between Gale and Hurd and Cameron during when they broke up their production company about who got the rights. So maybe that artwork isn't available anymore. Maybe it's tied up with Geiger and his family and his estate. Maybe it's tied up between Gale and James and what's ever going on with their stuff. Maybe just the creators of Free League decided it would be easier just to do art based upon artist's conception of the universe of Alien and just not use photos from the film at all. Try and just sort of disconnect. I mean, here is a scene that's, vaguely alien. I mean, that sort of looks like Ripley. So, I mean, there are definitely homages to the movies in the art, as well as extrapolations of other stuff that we never saw, and exploring the rest of the universe, stuff that appeared in the film Bible, stuff that appeared in the books, stuff that appeared in the comic books that were canon. So they definitely explore the universe way more than the movies do and the corporate structure and stuff like that. Because if it just based it on the movie, the book would probably be half this size. Plus, if you're not familiar, there is 2 games in the Alien role-playing game. There is the cinematic Alien game where it's basically, 1 shot, 2 shots. You play pre-made characters or characters that you make really quick, and you go through a cinematic, scene. And beginning, middle, and end, all 1 shot, 2 shots, and at the end, everybody's either dead or that one person escapes in the escape pod or whatever. And either play through scenarios from the movie, or you play through scenarios that are similar to the movie. There's usually a xenomorph involved and blah, blah, blah. These are very cinematic system. It's more board gamey than RPG, though it is RPG. The rules for the cinematic are very quick and very just sort of, designed to be a one shot. And then there's the campaign rules, which is much more what you would expect. And it's more just how to play a science fiction game in the alien universe, knowing that the aliens might they're out there, but there's other things. I mean, you could do whole things in that universe and never run into the engineers or the xenomorph, because the xenomorph is actually kind of rare. Just the different types of xenomorphs. You could go through the whole timeline. You could extrapolate on that universe from other movies and TV shows that sort of take place at the same tech level. Firefly, The Expanse, they all sort of have that same level, so you could definitely steal plots from them for a more cinematic campaign. And maybe the Xenomorph only shows up once every couple of months. So there's 2 different games that you can do, which is why the book is a little thick. But yes, sort of disappointed. I would have liked to seen that art, because I don't know if I'm remembering it correctly. But I do remember that when we were discussing Alien and Aliens and playing the first Aliens and role-playing game and doing a Colonial Marines game back in the late 80s, there was some talk about stuff that we didn't see that the Colonial Marines had that was talked about in the spec book, like turret placements and stuff like that. There was, of course, what do the aliens eat? Because they have to eat something. They aren't just perpetual, engines of destruction. There is a life cycle, very insect-like life cycle to the xenomorph, from which, of course, makes very little sense. But from facehugger to chestbuster to xenomorph to, we assume the xenomorphs die off. Otherwise, there'd be no need for eggs. They probably, on their own, don't live very long. If you're thinking them as based upon sort of bioengineered insects, there probably is something they eat, and probably the life form of the xenomorph, once it has reached its full growth and become the serial killing slasher that we know and love from the movies. How long does that thing live? I mean, assuming it doesn't get shot or blown up. Days, weeks. Plus, there was a little stuff about, how the xenomorphs terraformed a planet and changed things. Stuff about the nests and the hives and just, the sticky goop and the acid, and just how xenomorph, if left alone long enough, like on Headley's Hope, would slowly terraform a planet. And which is, of course, one of the original ideas about what the xenomorphs were, is that they were terraformers for the other alien race had designed them to be terraformers, that they would go down, eliminate the indigenous species, and through their life cycle terraform the planet, so that when the aliens that created the xenomorphs or found them and bred them or whatever, we don't know where the xenomorphs came from. If you go pre-Prometheus, there's no real explanation. They just sort of there. You make guesses based upon what a little information the movies pre-Prometheus gave us, and then post-Prometheus, it makes no fucking sense anymore either. So just whether Prometheus is or is not canon is up to, I guess, who's ever in charge of the IP at this point in time. But yeah, there was a lot of speculation that the xenomorphs were terraformers. So they, like I said, they would, eliminate the indigenous species, replicate through their bio process, terraform the planet, so that when the aliens that, then of course, things would usually go wrong. Then of course there's the theory that the predators just, left them out to go be the final, thing for them to fight. The ultimate predator fights the ultimate, apex predator kind of thing. So it just depends where you are and what you are, of course. Now they're saying that the Predator stuff, Aliens Predator, is not canon to the Aliens universe. It's a separate universe. So we will probably never see the Predators in this, or the Terminators, or any of the other things that has intermixed with this IP. We might see a book on Colonial Marines. The most logical expansion for this would be a Colonial Marines source book and Colonial Marines adventures and stuff like that. But yeah, so interesting that there is none of the art from the movies, none of the pictures, none of the unseen footage. The mystery of what aliens actually eat or do when they're not terrorizing colonists is still left to the imagination. I kind of like the terraforming idea. A bunch of serial killer apex predators who, kill people just because they're in the way. It doesn't really make sense. If you look at the alien from the point of view of why is this thing killing all these people? Unless, of course, if it's not eating them, they're obviously not a threat to it, so why eliminate them unless they have a use for them or they're in the way of whatever their programming is? Now, if we were eating people, maybe that's it. There was some speculation that some of the people that was captured by the aliens were not used for the embryos, but were turned into a food source. We'll never know, because the IP has changed ownership, and what is and is not canon is just such a mess I can't even begin to. But anyways, there you go. Some little known facts about aliens you may or may not have known, like the fact that at one point in time they thought that they might be terraformers for another alien race. Who knows? Who knows? Now that Free League has it, who knows what their plans for it. Hopefully they'll do something good. It's an interesting universe to play in. We'll see what happens. Anyways, if you appreciate this content, please let me know. If you haven't subscribed yet, please subscribe. Help me hit 400 subs, 500 subs by August 4th, and we'll do something crazy. Remember, there's a contest. I got a bunch of stuff to give away. I will talk to you later. Now get off my spaceship.